I have a couple cats at home. Me and my mom and my dad, we started becoming cat people like 3 years ago or something. And I got to really see and watch these cats grow up and see how are they the same, how are they different than we as human beings are. And I started to notice some things that really, I am no better than my cat. Or I'm looking from this outsider's perspective on the way my cat behaves and the way it wonders and the way it's curious about the world. I don't know if I'm any better. Well, of course, I thought probably deserves some explanation. I have some funny stories about my cats. A lot of them are kind of... a lot of them are kind of weird if you really think about what's going on there, right? One thing that really interested me is that I had these two cats for a long time, and these two cats were best of friends, right? Best of friends. They slept together. They ate food together. They played together. They did that all the time. And we were introducing a new cat in the house. And with animals, they don't like change. They don't like new people in their house. So keep that in mind when you're trying to introduce a new cat. So they started hissing at her. They started hissing at this new cat that invaded their homes. To them, it feels like it's just someone threatening their homes, threatening their food and everything. They're threatening their source of food, taking their share of the food away from them. That's a cat's understanding of the world, that this is my territory, this is my food. And if there's another cat in this household, I am scared. I am going to be aggressive to protect my territory. I'm going to claim my space, which is going to be this room or this room of the house. And you, cat, you stay wherever the heck you stay wherever the heck you are. Don't come out of line. And the truth is really that the cats are scared, right? Something new, something unknown is in their plate, is in their house, and they're kind of scared there. So this scared, angry cat at this invader in their house, she's hissing, she's growling at the new cat, and her best friend cat, that they have been sisters, that they have been together for so long. They're not actually sisters, but they've been together for so long that they behave like sisters. She just creeps up behind that cat just to sniff her tail. And my cat turns around and hisses and growls and tries to scratch, or rather, I wouldn't say scratch, but like punch the other cat with the paw, with retracted claws so they're not actually scratching. And growls at this cat that she's known pretty much since she was a baby. She growls at her. These two cats, they've been together since they were children. They sleep together, they eat together, they play together all the time. They love each other. And yet in this moment, she was so agitated that she would strike back at basically her own family, or her own best friend, her own sister. Maybe you can see where I'm going with this, that, human beings are not that much better. We do the same shit. We have a bad day at work. We come home and, it can be something so stupid. Like your girlfriend or your wife just says an offhand comment that usually you wouldn't be pissed off about at all. Or even if you don't have a girlfriend, your mom or your dad says something like, can you go take out the trash? And that shit just pisses you the fuck off. Apologize for this swearing. That shit pisses you off. Even though usually it really wouldn't. It really would not. But because you're already in that agitated state, you snap back at the people you love. It's not even their fault, it's just something that you're already in an agitated state. So anything else, any little straw hair that you put on that load on your mind, it's going to cause you to burst out and react to people who really don't deserve it. My cat often spends a lot of time looking at the outside world, sitting on my bedroom window and looking outside. She watches everything. She's so curious. She's so eternally curious about the world out there. She watches everything. Sometimes it's funny, you can see her like moving her head side to side while she watches birds and things move around. Sometimes she makes noises, and cats have this thing where they chirp sometimes when they see something they want to chase, I think. We don't fully know why cats chirp, but that's my theory. And I see her, she is so curious. She is so curious about the world out there. And yet she will never understand it. She will never understand it to the same degree that I understand it. And then you think about that. You think about how hopeless her quest to understand the world is. How hopeless this cat's quest to understand the world is. And how they will never, no matter how much they try, they will never reach the same level of my understanding of the world. And that's not something to stroke my ego. I'm the same way, right? If my cat is this hopeless to understand the world out there, there's space, there's stars, there's black holes, there's nebula. Our world is constantly in a cycle of rebirth and explosions and rebirth, down to the molecules that comprise her, down to even understanding how her own brain works, her own body works. She doesn't understand any of that, but I do. But if she doesn't understand any of that, what does that say about me? The more I think, the more I realize I am no better than my cat, watching the world outside from my bedroom window. Eternally curious, searching for answers, searching for meaning. I am no better. I know no better. Sure, we have bigger brains. Sure, people have a better ability to think about things and a better ability to understand the world. But realistically, right? That cat and me, our ancestry is linked. If you go back far enough, we evolved from the same creature. If you go back far enough. We're two branches on the same tree. We're not that different, really. Sure, my brain is bigger. Sure, I can understand things. Sure, I know that there is an existence of the quantum of quantum mechanics. I can understand that. I can understand that there exist stars on very, very long distance in the sky. Every star we see in the sky is its own world. Or sometimes it's actually a galaxy, and what we're seeing is the combined light of multiple stars. I can understand that the immense scale of the universe. But there's a limit to how much I can understand, and you know that limit just by learning things, right? There's still questions that science can't answer. There's still yet, and there's still things we don't understand about the world, and yet we seek it. We try to understand the world. Just like my cat, I am trying to understand the outside world. I'm trying to understand the way the world works. I'm trying to understand the physics behind it, the science behind it. I'm trying to understand motivation. How do I get myself to do things I don't want to do? But if me, as a higher being, or at least a being that has the ability to think and understand better than my cat can, if I can look down at my cat and I can pity them for the fact that they will never understand what I understand about the world, then that means, what about the beings that are a step higher than me, if they exist, which we don't know? But if there was a supposed being that is a higher step than me, a better ability to understand the world, wouldn't they be looking at us saying the same thing, that we can't understand the world? That our journeys to understand the world is ultimately futile because there's just such a huge distance between what we understand and what this supposed higher being understands about the world. Although I pity my cat for my cat for not having the capacity to even understand what the heck she's looking at. Although I pity her for that, I also pity myself in the same way, because just like my cat, I am trying to understand the world that is, honestly, we will probably find that it is incomprehensible for our primordial brains. I don't know how to say that, but I think that's a good description of what's going on there. Our primitive brains cannot comprehend how large the universe really is, how much of stuff there is in it. We cannot comprehend quantum physics. That's why we need math to try and understand what the heck is going on down there, you know? We can't comprehend it. It defies our common logic of the world. It defies our common logic of the world, just how big the world is. How many stars, how many worlds are out there. And you have the Fermi paradox where we can't even tell if there's other life out there. It seems completely silent. We can't even comprehend that. And yet, we still keep trying. My cat will never really understand the world, as much as she tries. She's young, and she will forever stay young. She will forever try and understand the world. I don't know if she'll ever... Maybe at some point she'll reach some sort of form of acceptance that she won't understand everything about the world, but she doesn't need to. In the same way that maybe I myself will search and keep looking for some meaning in all this, some explanation that explains everything. all of life, all of the world. And maybe I will never actually find it. But that's okay. Right? That's okay. I don't know if you guys know Noah Caldwell Gervais. He's super interesting, super fun. Crap, what are those videos called? Video essayist, right? He makes video essays on video games. And one of the games he was talking about was Dark Souls 2, which is the notoriously worst, most hated Dark Souls game, or even Soulsborne game that FromSoft has ever made. And he, brilliant mind that he has, he picked up on like the thematics, the themes behind, and the philosophy behind Dark Souls 2. There's a character there named Aldia, and one of his quotes comes to mind. Beyond the dark, beyond the light, there can be no path. And yet we seek it and yet we seek it insatiably. I can't say this word. And yet we seek it insatiably. Beyond the light, beyond the dark, there can be no path. And yet we seek it insatiably. There may not even be an answer. the stuff we look for. There might not even be an answer to all these questions we have about life. But does that mean we should stop? Or does that mean we should keep seeking, keep looking? Be dumb, like the cat. Be naive, like my cat. Naive that maybe at the end of this there's some conclusion we can draw, some bigger picture we can grasp, some understanding, fundamental understanding of the world. Is that so wrong? I may be no better than my cat, but just like my cat, I'll still seek to understand the world in some small way until the day I die.